Hello, everyone, and welcome to a candidate forum for candidates in Senate District 17. My name is Chris Hass. I'm a second and third grade teacher in Richland 2 School District in Columbia, and also the Midlands area representative for SC for Ed. And what we're trying to do through this is, as a nonpartisan organization, we do not endorse candidates, we don't endorse parties, but we certainly want to help voters out there be as informed as possible when they go to the polls so that they can vote in favor of candidates who have clear and workable ideas for education. So I have with me today Erin is it Mosley or Mosley?
Mosley.
Erin Mosley, who's running on the Republican ticket, as well as MaryGail Douglas, who is running in the Democratic primary. We have one other candidate in this race, which is the incumbent, Mike Fanning. And just to be clear, we do send out invites to every single candidate to give them the opportunity to attend these events and to speak to voters. But sometimes because of scheduling conflicts or other issues, not everyone is always able to make it. But I wanted to make it clear we did invite everyone to be part of this event.
Gotcha.
So I would like to begin just by giving you each an opportunity to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about your platform. And we'll start with Erin and then move on to MaryGail.
Okay. Well, I'm Erin Mosley. I live here in Chester County. I've been here back here for about 16 years. My daughter is in first grade, so I'm a parent of a school-age child. I graduated from Louisville High School here. As far as my platform goes, I'm not as, I don't say versed or educated as, as Mr. Fanning is. I don't have a PhD in education. I don't have any of those things. So I'm sure that's a bit of a learning curve I have right now. But as far as schools go, I am concerned. I worry a lot about our children's education for the future. The money that's spent, I'm learning a lot about that right now, and how I think there's a lot of waste, and there's a lot of money that could be used for other things to better improve our classrooms, our teachers, educators, support staff, our buses, our transportation folks who we trust with our children. I just think there's a lot of better ways that our money could be spent to help education as a whole. And not just per child. Of course, they're the most important, but not just per child. But I think that if you could figure out a way to better fund or use more resources or better resources, I think that we would have a happier parent school feel. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, I thought she said something to me. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to say that I don't really.
I'm sorry. I was trying to. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I understand. I knew what you were doing. So anyway, so as far as that goes, I just feel that, with the, I know that back in 2001, I believe they passed the lottery tax when we started having the education lottery. And I think that's gotten overlooked. And I think that's an avenue to take to maybe better fund things for teachers, schools, just like what I just, not to reiterate all that I just said, but I think that's an avenue that's been overlooked or not looked at or ignored, for lack of a better word. And I think that may be some areas, and I'm not saying throwing money at a problem or at an issue is the fix-all, but I just think if we sit down and figure out better ways to utilize our funds and our tax money, I think we can have a better education system as a whole.
I'm listening. So, Chris, when you get ready to.
All right. MaryGail, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your platform?
Okay, I will be glad to. And Erin, thank you so much for stepping up to the plate. It does my heart good to see young folks getting involved. So thank you for that. And this is not an easy thing. It's not as easy as people think that it is. And even harder than that is having a conference call like this where you can't see the body language and you can't talk to people and see their eyes. And that tells so much about who people are. So anyway, those of you who are teachers pick up on that. But anyway, let me move forward and be pretty quick so we can get on to some of the questions that you have. Of course, my name is MaryGail Douglas, and I am a lifelong resident of Winsboro, Fairfield County. Grew up in the public school system here, went to USC School of Nursing, came back, worked in our little hospital, and then later on became the Council on Aging Director for the county. So the older adult is of prime importance to me in this whole process. Let me tell you a little bit about the time there. One of the unique things that I was able to do was to do an intergenerational program with our older adults and our children at that time, where we had mentors during lunchtime, and it was phenomenal. It was just incredible. But anyway, that was one of those out-of-the-box things in the early 80s. So, and it proved quite successful. I will go on to say I stayed at the Council on Aging for a number of years and retired as a result of a husband that had cancer and a mother that had a stroke. So those brought me home. I've always been very active in local issues to promote a better way of doing things, and in particular, better use of money. Did I ever plan to run for a House seat? That was not on my bucket list. But I will tell you that I did it because I was not satisfied with what we had right then representing us here in Fairfield County. I served 6 years in the House, and I am a bridge builder. I run on a Democratic ticket. I am a bridge builder and built some wonderful bridges and relationships across the aisles and in all of the caucuses. So that's a strength of mine, and I love working with people and having positive outcomes. So saying that, in the 6 years that I was in the House, there were things that happened that I'm quite proud of, and one of them was being select or asked to serve on the Education Committee.
About 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So anyway, saying that, the workings of that part with the education piece is near and dear to me, as well as the older adult population, and of course the economy drives it all.
All right, thank you. So we're going to get started with our questions. So I'm going to alternate back and forth. We'll let MaryGail take this first one, and then Erin, you can lead us off on the second one, okay? So MaryGail, our first question is, what is your opinion of the state of public education in South Carolina today?
Well, it certainly is not what it was before March 13th. I think it varies depending on the school district that you're in. It varies on the zip code, as they say, that you live in. And is that fair and equitable? No. And I think that the teachers groups have brought that to the attention of the legislators, and they have had to stand up and take notice of that.
Thank you. Erin?
Well, I think obviously we've all become homeschooling parents here lately. So that's kind of given us a little bit more appreciation for our teachers and what they do. My daughter's teachers, we keep in touch pretty regular. So I think that's, I think for the future, looking forward after this, because we will get through it. I think we have teachers that are very frustrated with their pay, with their time that they do spend, that they're, I don't want to say not reimbursed for, but the pay doesn't match their time. And I get that. I completely get that. And I think after this, this episode that we're in right now with the way the schools are and we can't go, I think you might have a lot more attention given to teachers and what they actually do and how they take care of our kids. And I think the future of next year, the uncertainty of it, I know there's been a lot of folks talking about, the future, if it's going to be virtual, if it's going to be part classroom, it's going to be vice versa. So I think that's a concern. But as far as the state of our system right now, I mean, we have wonderful teachers. We have really good teachers all across the state. Is every situation ideal? No, it's not. You know, you have your good years and your bad years. But I think as a whole, we're getting there because teachers are becoming more vocal, which is why we're having this conversation right now. And I'd be happy. I'm listening, and I'm trying to, you know, gather as much information as I can to better to just make teachers' lives better, and as well as support staff and our transportation folks and our cafeteria workers and everybody. I think they're all feeling the brunt of this right now.
So, Erin, at the beginning when you were introducing yourself, you spoke to a couple of different things around education. So this question is going to be one of priorities. If you were elected, what would be the first step you would want to take to try to improve public education in the state? What's number one on your list?
Probably, I don't want to say I tend to get in trouble with this, as I don't. To be honest with you, I think more focus needs to be, instead of the state being so involved in a teacher's classroom, I think it needs to be more district involved with the classroom versus the state being involved as far as the decisions that are made. I think teachers are well equipped to, and principals and superintendents are well equipped to decide what's best for their classroom, or how money should be spent. That is tax money that we all pay into for education as a whole. So I think that would lessen a lot of their burden from having to worry about what's happening in Columbia, and they could just go to their superintendent or their principal, and they could have a discussion about what needs to be done. So I think that might be a starting point for that. That's probably my number one point I would like to drive home.
MaryGail, same question. What would you prioritize as your number one issue for education?
Okay, now that issue has changed considerably now since we've entered this pandemic. And the pandemic now, for me, and a concern as I talk to teachers, and by the way, I have a daughter-in-law that goes to that classroom every day, teaches first grade. So I have had a front seat at some of the discussions about, and friends with theirs. But anyway, saying that, I think the issue now has become, what will happen with these kids that really didn't get it while they were online school, or sent the packets and the packets didn't? So that is going to be an issue coming up, of those kids that fell through the cracks, and how do we remedy that?
So let's talk a little bit about funding of education. So as you know, the state legislature are the one to determine what it means to be fully funded in the state of South Carolina. They create the formula by which you determine whether or not we are giving enough money to our schools. Using their own formula, our state has not fully funded education here in the last 11 or 12 years. But oftentimes, when people bring this up, the response is, if you can find us the money, we would love to spend it. Knowing that we need more money to recruit and retain teachers, to get the resources we need to all schools to make it equitable, how do you feel would be, or what do you feel would be a solution to address funding for public education in South Carolina? And we'll start with MaryGail. Okay,
and right off the bat, I will say that the inequities that exist are real, and I would like for us as a budget writer to take a look at the administrative cost in all of the school districts, to see where they are in the percentage based on the admin cost as it relates to overall budget, operational budget. I think that at some point the administrative piece has got to be capped, so that we can get the dollars to the classroom.
Okay. Erin?
Now, that did not answer your question about where do we get the money. It may be a rearrangement of the dollars that are there, or the reallocation of the dollars that are there, to put them where they're in greatest need. And the teachers in the classrooms can often come up with ideas to what they need out of the district offices. Because I think the general feel is that there seems to be in a lot of school district offices that there is a lot of waste. So that is something I think I would like to see.
Okay.
Now, Kristen, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that, but go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your train of thought.
No, and I that is something I do agree with you there. The administration and the tiers that they have within certain, school districts, or how they do regional districts. And I mean, it is rather costly, the administration part of it. And then you take into account, I know here within our county, when they do, and this is kind of brings it back to, I think it needs to fall back to our more centralized school districts being in charge, and, being more cost minded for what goes into classrooms, and for teachers and principals, and they all be on the same page about what's best for their classrooms. Because I know here in our county, we have spent, I don't know how much money on campaigns for bond referendums for architects. That is an amount that blows my mind, as far as what's spent, that just kind of goes away. And I just think it's something that, and I'm not saying it's not needed at a point, don't get me wrong there, but I just think that there's a lot more ways that our money could be spent wisely. And that's kind of, and as far as funding goes, it kind of goes back to the whole, the lottery income. I think that I don't think there's money that, to say if you can find it, I think it's there. It's just a matter of being proactive about it and doing something to help our teachers and our education system.
Okay. So in your opinion, Erin, we'll start with you. What would a successful accountability system look like in South Carolina for education? How should we be holding students, parents, schools, districts accountable?
Yeah, I think to kind of point to, I know that there are some children who fall through the cracks, and I understand that. I'm not an uncompassionate person, and I know that does happen. But I think a lot of responsibility from parents nowadays is, I don't want to say all parents, because I don't want to group that. I just think that they don't realize the detriment that they're doing to their children. I tend to combat that. There's no quick or easy answer other than just constant communication between teacher and parent, and I'm not saying that parents need to be schooled on how to raise their children. I'm not saying that either, but I think a lot of, whether it's younger or older parents, sometimes you just don't realize that when your kids fall through the cracks, it's not always a school's responsibility. It's not always fall on the teacher. It doesn't always fall on something else. A lot of times you have to stop and think, what can I do? Am I doing all I can? And I know that's hard to relay when it comes to a parent and their relationship with their child and their teacher and their school. So how to combat that, and maybe need to think about that one for a little bit more to come up with a plan there, because it has been on my mind. That's just a touchy subject, and I just think that there are ways to do it, and I do trust our teachers to be helpful and mindful in that situation as well.
MaryGail?
Okay, the first piece, and this is not necessarily in this order, but there are two pieces to that accountability that I see. First of all, there's absolutely too much testing, and we teach to the test. I learned that quickly. The first piece is that jumps out at me is teacher quality. We know that in all professions, not everybody is on the same grade level. And so teacher quality impacts the readiness of that child from grade level to grade level. The second piece of that is that all children don't learn at the same rate or in the same way. So when a child is being, I don't want to say tested, but evaluated. That's the word I'm looking for. Evaluated. I think that it is how much that child gains through the course of that year, say the first half of the year, and then to the second half, and how that could be evaluated and valued. So those are the two things that I think the accountability piece would, the teacher quality, and then the part where the student progresses at a level that is in their world. So anyway, here again, I have two grandchildren that are in magnet school, and it's a whole different world. I mean, so there again, and there are kids who really struggle, and there are a variety of reasons out there that I have learned from teachers that force that learning at different levels. So, but those two things, Chris.
Okay. So I'd like to wrap up with giving you each an opportunity just to share any last thoughts. If there was something that you wish you would have said earlier, this would be a great opportunity to do it before we sign off. And we will start with you, MaryGail.
All right. Well, where do we begin? Except that I would count it an honor to be in the Senate. Would work hard to do that. Made a lot of inroads here in Fairfield County and in Chester County with bringing funding to, in the way of $4 million from ER here in Fairfield County. $400,000 to respite care for older adults to stay in their home. $750,000 for the behavioral health issues that plays in, whether we want to say it or not. The drugs and alcohol and the abuse plays into that child's learning at school. So if we don't take care of those things early and take care of the mamas and the daddies that are hoping get them to school, then all of this is such a domino effect. One does not work outside the bubble of the other. So anyway, saying that, I thank you for doing this today. I would certainly look forward to meeting both of you and having conversation, because there is a lot to talk about other than outside of 30 minutes here. So thank you, Chris, again, and your group for taking the lead, and I look forward to meeting you.
Erin?
Thank you, MaryGail. I don't know if I got to say that earlier or not, but thank you for what all you've done, and I know you've contributed quite a bit. As far as my piece, just speaking in terms of school, I just think that our children do deserve the best that we have, and I think in South Carolina we do have great teachers. I think that I trust our teachers. I know that not everyone, sometimes teachers struggle with students struggle with teachers. I did it in school. I know it hasn't been that long ago that I remember that. So I think that I do trust our teachers to take care of what happens in their own classrooms, and principals as well, and what happens in their own schools, and superintendents with what happens in their own districts. I do believe that I'm more than willing to listen to every single person that I can, and try to help. And I want everybody's point of view. And I just think that having a voice for everyone, not saying that not everybody does, just having a voice for everyone and being able to do the best that I can, I think we could all make it a lot easier for our students and educators and staff for South Carolina. And we have a great state. We have a great group of bodies that are willing to jump in and help. Running in this race was not on my plan either, so I completely understand that aspect. Having a 7-year-old is kind of time consuming most days. But anyway, back to the point, it would be an honor and a privilege to serve everyone in South Carolina, not just our schools and educators, but everyone, and I'd be going to do a great job for everyone.
So if people would like to do further research, do you all have social media or any outlets that people could pursue to find out more about you? And Erin, I'll start with you.
Okay, yeah, I do have a Facebook page. It's Erin Mosley for South Carolina Senate 17. And I also have Instagram, Erin Mosley for Senate 17. And then of course you can reach me by phone. Would you want me to get that information as well? I can do all
yeah,
that.
if you're comfortable doing so, absolutely.
No, I'm fine. My phone number is 803-417-7682. Text me, call me. My email is Erin Mosley, just like my name, at ymail.com. Email me anytime with any suggestions or anything that you'd like to offer or ask.
Right. MaryGail, any social media or contact information you'd like to provide?
Yes, Facebook, MaryGail Douglas, and I have the telephone number, home phone that has an answering machine, 803-635-9292. That is probably the best way for me to get a call back, and I will call you back.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for spending time tonight and helping inform the voters in District 17, and best of luck to both of you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.